Okay, so let's see how to use Excel to calculate some central tendency measurements. So we have several central tendency measurements, right? We have mean, median, percentile, quartile, and mode. So let's see how to do them one by one. So for mean, actually most of you have already done that. You know how to do it. It's just average. Okay, so let's just use average. So I may, for example, select all those CNT values throughout 2 years. I get 4,000 and about 4,500. So that's the daily average rental number that I have in that 2 years. So that's just average, mean, simple. Okay, and then for median, it's not very surprising that in Excel we have a function just called median. So if you do median, again, you just select all the values you want, and then Excel tells you what's the median value. So in this case, it's 4,548. So regarding median and mean, don't forget that we have that pivot table. So for example, here, we do a pivot table and we get CNT directly. We can get sum, and of course, we may also get average. Okay, 4,504. Or if you want, you may select something else. Okay, Unfortunately, here there is no median. So for Excel, if you want to get median, you just cannot use pivot table because it does not support. Okay. Okay, coming back here, we have percentile. So okay, good. So we have several functions that are about percentile. You can see that there are two functions that are called percentile excluding and percentile including, or exclusive and exclusive. So that's a little bit complicated. So let's try each one. So I'm going to select an array, and to make our life easier, let's say I just want to select 10 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I do so, and I also say I want to get the 10th percentile, then ideally I should get what? I should get some values that is within these 10 numbers, right? Well, here you can immediately say it says there is something wrong. So let's take a look at the manuals. So here it tells me that it should be the percentile value that is between 0 and 1. So I realize that this should not be 10. This should be, for example, 0.1. Okay? And then you get 0.1 here, you get 803.1, which means among these 10 values, if you count from the lowest to the largest, then the 10th percentile is around 803. So you can see through these values, seems to be right. Okay, seems to be right. Or if you look at percentile inclusive, okay, you also select these 10 values, and then you also type 0.1. You can see that these values are somewhat different. So if you have some free time and if you want to take a look at their manuals saying that what does that mean for exclusive and inclusive, you're going to get an answer. But for me, typically, I don't really care about that, because when we have a set of values and when we want to take a look at their percentiles, typically we just want to get some rough ideas. In many cases, we have a lot of numbers, and the two functions do not really generate huge difference. So maybe I'm too lazy, but I just don't care about that too much. So for example here, if I choose all the values, okay, if I choose all the values, let me do it again. So I'm going to do here for all the values. So I get about 1,700. For here, I do percentile inclusive and all the values and 0.1. You can see that still there is a difference about 20. But when we are at that scale, which is about from 0 to 9,000, that's just 20 or something is not making too much difference. So if in your application that makes a lot of difference, you need to take a look at the definition of these two functions. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. Just use either one you prefer. Okay, and then quartile. For quartile, we again have two functions. So here, the way to use them are almost identical. Just select a range and then say you want 0.1, 0.5, for example. Okay, how about we try 0.5? We get, again, something wrong. So we look at the manual again. It's a number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It should not be 0.5. If you want to look at the median, it should be 2. Okay, so we get, okay, median, that sounds good. Or if we want, we may say, okay, how about this? I want to have my quartile, and now I want to try inclusive. Again, I select all these values, and I say 2 again. We can see that, oh, well, when it's 2, it doesn't really matter. How about this? I'm going to try this to be 3. I'm going to try this to be 3. Then you can see, again, some tiny difference, but I don't think that's a very big problem. So if you want to double check, you can say, how about this? I try the 75 percentile. Naturally, it's the third quartile. Nothing really surprising. Okay, for the other function, it's the same. Last one, we have mode. So there is a function called mode. And again, there are two options. You have mode, multiplicative, multiple mode, or single mode. The reason is the following. When we are calculating or trying to find the mode of a set of values, in many cases there are multiple modes. So if we use this single version, we're going to get one mode, one of them. So the value returned must be a mode, but we cannot find all of them. So if we want to find all of them, we use mode.mult. In my personal perspective, this is not a very important thing. So I'm just going to illustrate how to use this second version here. So what I need to do is that I'm going to just select a few values. And as we mentioned, for this particular mode, the definition for categorical values and the definition for numerical values are somewhat different. For numerical values like CNT or something, basically we are talking about model classes. But for categorical values like weather situation, we are really talking about that pure definition of mode, the value that occurs the most. Okay, and for Excel, this function only applies to categorical values. So you should not apply them to CNT. What we may do is to apply them to, for example, weather situations. Okay, so weather situations, and then we get 1. That means we have a mode that is 1. That is 1. And that means among all these 731 days, the most frequent weather situation is what? Is the sunny day. Okay, so that's how we get those central tendencies.